Hey, welcome to the Overshare Pamphlet. My name is Rob, and I'm the host of this one-man show. Um, so, hello. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys had, a great week, and I hope you guys are gonna have a great week ahead. But before we get into, anything specific, I want to give you guys a little bit of a rundown of what's gonna happen in this episode, because it's a bit of, an unpredictable one, I guess. I was planning to do as per usual, like my 2 or 3 stories, and I started researching my first one, which I am going to talk about today, which is a bit of like analysis, I would say, with like the inconsistencies, I would say, of the English language. Man, I cannot even speak English then. But yeah, that's gonna happen. And then I was researching for a second story, and while I was researching for it, I kept on like realizing, like I kept on thinking about how many fucking songs of the week this week specifically I have, you know, been thinking about, but also been wanting to put on the episode. And trust me, there are so many. So then when I was starting to put them in a list, I was like, holy shit, I cannot, like, I don't think I will have time to go over every single one of them and do the story that I want to do and do an extra story as well. So I think that unfortunately I will only have to do one story. But if you think about it, all these songs, well, there's just as much research and like not research, but you know what I mean. Like, I guess like I'm gonna talk a lot about these songs. So like, because there are so many of them. So, and it's a one in, I don't know, in a 10 episode situation where I've never had these many songs. So the tea is teaing, you know? I'm sipping on the tea and I'm like, yeah, bitch. Oh, actually, before I get into any of that, to be fair, before I start actually like getting into the real things, I want to talk about what's going on in pop culture, I guess. There are so many interesting, like, specifically music, of course, but there are so many artists that are making moves, I guess. So, first of all, Normani from Fifth Harmony. Oh, first of all, actually, let's go back to like Fifth Harmony, like going through a renaissance right now on TikTok, and everyone rediscovering Sledgehammer and what was it? Flex, Only My Head. I think that those were the 2 songs, but I mean, they're doing it for the giggles. They're not actually like trying to revive the group, because I think both Camila and Normani are, as I'm going to talk about, are set on their own journeys. But yeah, it's just funny. And then while that was happening, we also got news that finally Normani, after 6 fucking years of announcing it, 6 years, she is dropping her album. We don't know when. It's gonna happen in 2024, but she dropped the cover art of the album, which leads me to believe that it's like soon-ish. It's gonna be soonish. And I think she also posted a snippet. I think it was R&B, an R&B song that it's on the album supposedly, and I'm excited. I'm very excited. Like, I truly think that she's so fucking talented, especially as a dancer, but also as a performer and everything else. And her voice, her tone, it's very unique, like very early 2000 R&B sort of performance in that sense. But yeah, she's coming back. And then in my last episode, I think I was talking about how, like, you know, Beyonce's coming back with a, you know, country album, and then it's Post Malone, and then it's Lana, and then Billy actually just said it. Like, I was saying that maybe Billy was gonna come back, but she most likely will, because she just posted on Instagram, well, this week, that she is done mastering her album. So the mastering portion, where it's like literally the last step of the editing and putting the album together, is done. So she just needs to like pick a date, I guess, and drop it. And I don't know. I don't know if she already has a cover art, whatever it is, but she's almost there as well. So I'm sensing like summer release date for her. So exciting things about that. Then Bridget Mandler. How do we get from Well, but she was a pop girl. Don't get it twisted. She was a fucking pop girl. Don't worry, she was. Um, but Bridget Mendler, if you don't know her, she's from Disney. She has a Disney background. She used to be in Lemonade Mouth, the movie. In my opinion, that was the introduction I had to her. And then she was also in Good Luck Charlie or something like that. But anyways, that doesn't matter because she then started, like, she dropped two of the most, um, I was about to say like innovative songs, but Shakespeare could never write what she wrote. Like, she could write Shakespeare's plays and all that stuff. She could write, I don't know, Romeo and Juliet. She could write anything, or any like sort of like romantic poem by, I don't know, Lord Byron or whatever it is. Like, British poets don't have anything on Bridget Mendler. None of them could write Hurricane. None of them could sample Ready or Not. None of them could do that shit. So yes. Yes, very much yes. So what's happening with her? She just her journey has been very interesting, I would say, for a Disney star, because usually Disney stars go from a acting beginning with any Disney Channel show, and then they would switch to music, or like drop music while they were acting and all that stuff. Like, see, for example, I don't know, Miley Cyrus, Selena, Demi, you name it. And then it would stick to probably the thing, like the music lane for a while, or dip a bit into like the acting, like Zendaya, like, or become fully actresses, like Zendaya, for example. So, but she didn't do that. She is, like, I respect her so much. So as soon as this lady was done with like the acting bits on, well, her music was becoming successful, not gonna lie. Like, she was getting some good numbers, she was getting some attention, but I mean, she didn't have the greatest singing voice ever. She was not built for singing, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if that was her passion or not. Who knows? But matter of fact is that then she went MIA for a while, because she went to MIT, actually. She went to MIT, bitch. She got a PhD, I think, at MIT. No, wait, yeah, or a master's. I can't remember, but she studied at MIT. Maybe it was PhD, actually. Yeah, so that she did that, and then, like, crazy shit. And then, Jesus. And then, recently, she started teasing, like, 5-6 years ago, something about music coming, but then she didn't drop it, of course. And now apparently she is, this week the news broke that she is the CEO of a satellite company, like startup. So this girl is just she's insane. Like, she is I saw a meme on Instagram. I reposted it on my story. By the way, follow me on Instagram, bitch. robscal.jpg. But but she was. I saw this meme that's saying, like, those, like, like the reincarnation memes. I don't know if you know the reincarnation memes. Let me find it for you. Like, I'm gonna read it out for you, because that's gold. So basically, it's like an historical figure, an historical event, and then the date when that happened, and then the date of birth of a modern, contemporary artist or whatever it is. And so it was died in 1519, born in 1992. Artists, doctor, engineers, physicists, mothers. Welcome back, Leonardo da Vinci. But it's literally da Vinci, and then next to it is just Bridget Mendler. So yeah, she is the new Leonardo da Vinci. So don't get her twisted. She's gonna fuck shit up. She is. Nobody's doing it like her. I can never predict what she's gonna do next. So maybe she will run for presidency. Who knows? Like, she's gonna become the next president, and I would vote for her. I mean, I cannot vote for her, but I would vote for her if I was. You know what? I'll get myself an American passport somehow, marry some random person, and then I'll be able to vote. I'll do that. How about that? Yeah. So. Congrats to my girl, Bridget. You are slaying, girl. Like, you are doing it like no one else. She, as I said in my threads as well, she's the blueprint, man. No one is doing it like her. Like, point me to, like, one of the Disney girls. Matter of fact, any ex pop girly or whatever it is that is doing it like her. Like, this girl has talent. She has brains. She has a fucking PhD, man. Like, what? And she at MIT, come on, like let's not kid ourselves. Like she's damn smart. But anyways, let's move on from this. So yeah, all these things are happening. Then, um, yes, I was saying music is shaping up to be like this year is gonna be very busy for music. So I'm very excited about that. And somehow, I also got a very busy week in terms of music. I've saved so many fucking songs, and I don't even know. Well, actually, no. To be fair, I actually didn't start with Discovery Weekly. It got slightly before that. I don't know. I actually incarnated this song. I can't remember, but yeah. So I saved these two songs. That's how it started. I saved these two songs, and then this was basically like on last Sunday or something, yeah. And then on Monday, when the new Discovery Weekly updated playlist dropped on Spotify for my own profile, I went on it, didn't expect much, and then I had a streak like one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I saved 7 songs in one listen. Like I was about to go to bed on Monday, and I was listening to music, and I put the playlist on, and these 7 songs play one after the other, and I kid you not, I saved all 7 of them. I don't know if I'm gonna tell you about all these 7, but then after that, through the Discovery Weekly, I one of the artists that was recommended to me, I listened to her, and I found even more songs that I loved. I still like. I'm obsessed with her, but I'll get into her in a bit. And then, just the giggles, just the giggles. Like Selena Gomez dropped a song, and it's fucking bomb. But we'll get into that. So first song of the week is "Every Girl Gets Her Wish" by Saint Evangeline. I don't know. It's spelled as Avangeline. So it's a bit of a weird way of spelling Evangeline, but anyways, her voice is very similar to Lana's, and even the song I would say like Lana Del Rey, it's very similar to like a Lana Del Rey song in terms of beat, in terms of pretty much anything, and it's just a quintessential Lana Del Rey song in my opinion. So that's why I was very drawn to it. She's very good at the performance that she does. I like it. The cover art is like stunning. It's like is that a bridal dress? I don't know, but and she has like flowers. It's just beautiful. The song is very like um I would say like maybe mid tempo, something like that. Yeah, maybe it's mid tempo actually. It's not like a slow song, but yeah. So this one I was like immediately hooked because her voice reminded me so much of Lana, and then the production and everything else was like Lana's, like the instrumental and all that. So saved it up. I was like, oh, cool. I'm returning it. I'm gonna return to this one. She kind of sounds like old Lana to be heard. It sounds like, okay, here's the way of putting it. It sounds like demo Lana songs. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, if you know that vibe, it's very like grungy. Still sounds like a demo basically, but it's like early like ultraviolence type of situation. So yeah, so that's the vibe. Then the other one was "You Deserve This" by Men I Trust. I think this one I discovered it through TikTok actually, unfortunately. But yeah, Men I Trust. I had a few songs saved by them prior to this. Maybe, yeah, 4 songs in total. Um, One of them was Pines, then I saved Numb, and then I saved Lauren. But the one I discovered recently was You Deserve This. So this song is so chill, so like vibey. Um, it's very it's like slow tempo, but like vibey, and has like a guitar bit like all throughout the song. Reminds me a lot of summer, to be fair. I think I might be like using this when it comes to summer, like to do some like I don't know TikToks or whatever it is. But it's just like a very or like just listening to it during the summer because it's very like vibey but summery song. And of course the way they sing is just like very like breathy and like soft. It's just really beautiful. So if you want to like chill or be in your thoughts, I would I would go for this one. I would go for "You Deserve This" by Men I Trust. Um, so yeah, electric guitar, but like very mellow and very like slow tempo. So it's like beautiful, like just gorgeous. Then, then I cannot not mention this song because this is probably the one song that I've been listening to the most this week. "Easy" by LE SSERAFIM. LE SSERAFIM dropped their mini album. Was it on Friday? Last Friday, or was it this Monday? No, I think it was this Monday actually. I can't remember, but it feels like it's been here forever because I've been listening to it every single day. I even learned the choreo. Like, first of all, okay, no, let's discuss first the song, and I'm gonna tell you what I did with this. But the song is like trappy, like trap beats, and it's a bit like the way I would describe it. Actually, it's it kind of sounds like an Ariana Grande song sometimes. Like, the trap beats that Ariana Grande made popular back in, what was it, 2018, 19 or something, with Thank You Next and all that shit. That's the type of like trap beats. Now here's the thing with trap beats. Since they were so overused back in the days, I think everyone quickly became sick, I guess, of the trap beats and the trap beat trends and all that shit. So the bar for a trap beat song is high, in a sense that you need to deliver especially hard with a trap beat song, because it's so, like, it used to be so saturated, and people are not really looking out for any sort of track like that. But it did. So I cannot deny the excellence of a good trap song. And it's just beautiful. I think what makes it special is that they combine, like, they switch tempos a lot of the time during the song, and they combine a lot of, like, the song goes slow and then it goes fast, and then it goes like to claps, and then it goes to drums, and then it goes to the trap elements and all that stuff. So the main portion of the song is a trap instrumental, like the chorus and everything else, but then it goes to, like, a clapping sound, and then a bit of like I guess, like, overly produced vocal type of production, I guess, there, like when they, like, do a lot of autotune on the vocals, but, like, stylistically, I guess, in that sense, it's a very hype situation there. But they did it well. I think it's so catchy. The song is so catchy, and what's even catchier is the whole vibe, the whole, like, choreography and all that. And the choreo is so fucking difficult. Like, no, it's not like super like, it is difficult. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually very difficult, the chorus part specifically, because, as I said, like, even with the song itself, it goes fast, slow, and it's just like the choreo reflects that, and it's just a very there's a lot of, like, sharp movements and, like, a lot of small details that you have to do fast, very fast. So, but I decided to learn it, and I am actually, I want to say, like, I was pretty successful with it. I did a TikTok about, like, with the song and with the choreo and everything else. So go check it out. I'm gonna leave my TikTok in the description of this episode, so you can check it out if you want. I don't know if you will, but you should, because what the fuck, like, I put work into this. Please support a girl. And yeah, so I had fun learning it, actually. Like, it was very hard. I'm not gonna lie, like, I sweat so much trying to learn it, but I learned it in an afternoon. In an afternoon, maybe not a full day, maybe. Well, it was afternoon and evening, so half a day, let's just say. So, but yeah, the choreo super super fun. It's kind of like very pop, I guess, and it's just beautiful, and yeah, the song is incredible, choreo is incredible, the lyrics are just so fucking funny, and, like, they're braggadocious. Like, they're gonna make it look easy. Like, damn, I really make it look easy. That's the main line in the chorus. Like, they make it look easy, pull up and rip it up like ballet. That's what they say. Like, it's like, okay, bitch, I'm with you. So yeah, very, like, big dick energy, I guess I would say, type of track. It's just, making it look easy, making it look smooth, making it look like it's nothing for you, like, just ripping it up. And they are ripping it up, So I'm very happy about the song. It's definitely a nice change of pace for them. Still feels very Le Seraphim, but also it's different from what they've been doing. So I'm glad. I'm very glad. And yeah, the video is also very beautiful. I love the music video. Go check it out as well. That's pretty. So yeah. Then time to get into the portion of the songs of the week that I discovered through the Discovery Weekly on Spotify. I said it was a streak. So first of all, okay, here's one. Put Me in a Movie by, well, how the fuck do I pronounce that? Bulcato Show. Bulcato Show is Bulcadoshow. So Bulcato Show. All together, one word. But anyways, the name of the song is Put Me in a Movie, and that's another, like, all these songs have a similar vibe, I guess. Is just a beautiful track. I have to say, like, it's a beautiful track. It's a very, I think what's very interesting about this one specifically is the delivery of the singer. I don't know who she is, but she has a very hypnotic way of singing, and it's all in falsetto, and the production is like very like moody. I don't know, like it is kind of like it's called Put Me in a Movie, but it's like it feels like a very cinematic song, but like also a very weird, like experimental type of track. It's just a moody song, but yeah, I love it. It's just the way she sings is just very captivating to me. It's just very unusual. I've never heard, like, I don't usually listen to like these type of singers, but it's just like a very eerie song. Like, it's very beautiful. Then I Want to Be Alone with You by Chloe Wilder. I don't know this girl, but this song is very punchy. It's very like it is rock, but it's not like hardcore, I guess I would say, in that sense. It's like very punchy, though. Like, it's still very punchy. I Want to Be Alone with You. There's a nice, I like the intro and the outro are the same bit. Like, it's just vocal. Like, it's a vocal for, like, they just start off with like harmonies, and then it gets into like the actual song, and it's just like this very like punchy drum throughout the entire song, and the guitars slay. And then it's just like, it's just funny that the verses and the pre-choruses are just very like I don't want to say aggressive, but they're very like, like you can feel some sort of like yearning, like they want to be alone with a person, for example. And then it gets to the chorus, which is instead like very pulled back. It's still the same production throughout the entire thing, but the way she sings in the chorus is very like laid back, and it's just beautiful. I just like love it so much. And yeah, if looks could kill, then I'd die. That's what she says, and I was like, yep, period. For someone who loves you know who appreciates a lot of things for the beauty of it and not for the actual substance, like myself, I just love pretty things, and that's it. I agree. If looks could kill, then I'd die, man. I'll be dead. Period. And I wanna maybe put this one. Let's see. Yeah, I'll do this one as well. Sound of the Underground by Girls Aloud is just, I knew the song. I knew it. I never saved it for whatever reason, but it just came up in my Discovery Weekly, and it's just, the guitar in this is just beautiful. Like, it's a very it sounds like a westerny type of like guitar, like and it's a very fast paced guitar, and it's just beautiful. Like, sound of the underground, na, 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 na. So it's like, it's just very like high paced type of song. Love it. Very energetic. Very urban. Love that. And then I also have yes, so I'm just getting into her. So through, as I was saying, through my Discover Weekly, I discovered this artist called Have. So it's like HA space VAY. Have, I guess is how you pronounce it. But the song that like I discovered first was Moon Girl. It's just beautiful, beautiful track. To describe her is just so difficult, but the way the best way I could describe her, like the way she like sings and everything else, she has a very specific vibe, which is like kind of like whimsical, mesmerizing, like that. I literally made a playlist because of this song. It's called Fantasy Core, because like she reminds me so much of like a fantasy story or whatever it is, like a fantasy vibe, like fantasy as in the genre of movies and books and all this stuff. But she has that sort of like whimsical type of way of singing. Moon Girl is hands down my favorite song she's done. It's just so well produced, and it's just the chorus is just so fucking catchy, man. I cannot. But yeah, very they're very guitar heavy, but guitar like acoustic guitar, but also like dreamy, like very well produced. She sings like a siren. I'm not kidding. Like she has this very interesting way of singing. It's just interesting. Like it's just beautiful, and the like the way the chorus itself is just incredible. Like let me see if I can find the lyrics actually for this one, because it's just beautiful. Like, oh yeah. Won't you take me as I'm meant to be wild? Basically, she says like during the chorus, like, won't you take me as I'm meant to be wild? And she keeps on saying like wild, wild. It's just like beautiful, and it's just like very smart. Also, I like the transitions from the verses to the chorus, specifically the second one, the second verse into the second chorus. It's just bellissimo. So. Yeah, I'm gonna put this song in the playlist, like the Overture Pamphlet Songs of the Week playlist of February. And then I went into her profile and started looking for more songs by her, and two songs specifically, but the entire EP is also very, very good. Okay, the EP is called Avalanches and Unfamiliar Ways to Die, but the song itself with the title track, Avalanche, like the title track, actually, I think it is. Yeah. Oh yeah. So the EP is named after the the fucking title track. That makes sense, right? Yes. So Avalanches and Unfamiliar Ways to Die is just very beautiful, and Venus in the Sea is also another favorite track. As I say, like as I said before, like she sings like in a very mesmerizing, like siren-y voice. She does like a very weird thing with her voice. I'm not gonna repeat it the way she did it, but it's just very interesting. They're very like country adjacent, but they're not country at all. But it's just like this whimsical fantasy vibe. I cannot describe it. It's just like it reminds me so much of like if I had to visualize this, like while I'm listening to the song, I would like specifically imagine Zelda, the world of Zelda, or the world of any Studio Ghibli movie, like that type of like whimsical fantasy sort of vibe. But yeah, Venus in the Sea, I think it starts off with her singing a cappella ish, like there's not much going on, and then she gets into the chorus, which is like acoustic guitar behind it, and it's just like beautiful. Oh my god, it's just so like emotional and heartwarming, and it's just gorgeous. Yeah, she just tucks her vocal beautifully. The harmony she does in her songs are just so like crazy good, and I love that. So go listen to these three. I'll put them in the playlist as well. Go listen to her specifically. She's just very, very cool, and she's gorgeous, man. I follow her on Instagram. She's just beautiful. Very interesting girl as well. So period. Then I do want to talk about let's see, should we put these two? You know what, let me put let me put this one. This song is called Boogie Tonight by Tweet. Didn't know anything about this song, but I've been going to the club a lot, like too much, but like in a good way. Like I've been enjoying it a lot. I've been going to the club so often, every weekend or so, and this was actually from yesterday's club night that I went to. So yesterday is in Friday because I'm recording on a Saturday, but this song came on and I was like, oh my god, god, it's like a very it's not R&B. It's actually like, well, let's say like it is sort of like it is very early 2000, sort of like um how would I describe it? Like it's a jammy song, I guess. Like it's very jammy in that sense. Like you jam a lot to the song, and it's like very um like, yeah, maybe it is like very early on R&B, like early 2000 R&B, like that type of maybe you could like associate it with it can be put in the same category as like Destiny's Child, like Jumpin' or anything like that. Yeah, maybe Jumpin' by Destiny's Child, but like that sort of like, rhythm, and it's just very like you dance to this, like you let your body move to the song. It's just beautiful. It's called Boogie Tonight. Boogie, and then tonight is spelled as two, the number, night as in NITE, and tweet is literally like TWEET. So I don't know anything about it, like any of these people, but just gorgeous. I loved it so much. I was in a club, this came on, I was like, oh my god, I need to Shazam it right now. Just was feeling it so much. It's just a beautiful song. So damn it. And yeah, so this one, definitely put it on. I'll put it in the playlist as well. And then I want to close off the songs of the week because I've been talking for so fucking long. It's been 30 minutes. Shit. See, I knew I was gonna get lost. But last song, I'm gonna end it up with Selena Gomez, Love On. Love On. Love On by Selena Gomez is I'm not really sure if this is gonna be part, like if she's planning to do an album or what, like a full thing. She did put out a single soon, which was a hit or a miss, I guess, for people. I recognize that it was pretty cringy as a song. I don't know, something was weird about the song, but at the same time, catchy. I cannot deny that. But this one, I think this is where the money's at. Um, I think Julia Michaels wrote this song, and I don't know if she also produced it, but whenever Selena and Julia Michaels like work together, I think that this is my opinion about Selena Gomez. She's not definitely not the greatest performer ever, definitely not the greatest singer ever, definitely not the greatest writer ever. She doesn't have like the array, I guess, that normal pop stars would have. But what she does have, I think, is a great instinct when it comes to picking, her team and like her songs and like her, general vibe that she wants to go for when it comes to like a song that she wants to sing and all that stuff. Like she knows where she's good at, and I think she knows how to curate a good, single, and a good, like, she has that instinct, I guess. She has a successful instinct. That's why I think she has so many like listeners. She has 47 million listeners, so monthly listeners. So damn. But yeah, she has a lot. And I would say this song. Oh wait, what the fuck? Like Single Soon has 164 million streams. What? Okay, so that was successful then in the end. I guess so. But yeah, she garners a lot of attention, and she knows how but this song specifically is just a very it fits her vibe completely. As usual, as I was saying, like Selena has a very curated vibe, and she knows where to pick the right songs for. And this one is like turning your love on. That's the whole purpose of the song. Like, wait till I turn my love on. She's like, you're, ready to love someone and to get like loose and just be free and just love someone. And it's just like very fun, like unapologetically, and like, just very like chill, beautiful song. The production, the instrumental, I don't want to say it sounds like disco 80s or something like that. It doesn't, but it's just like very specific. It sounds like Selena Gomez. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just beautiful. Great song, super catchy. The chorus is super repetitive, but I love it. It's in a very interesting way. And she's in love. She's in love. She's just like, doing it. She's just doing it. And I'm so glad that we have these type of tracks, because sometimes you do need like a very, innocent and harmless song. Not every song has to be super like emotionally charged or like heavily produced or anything super out there. Sometimes a good pop song is just simply like a good pop song, like very run of the mill, but catchy and happy go lucky type of song. And this is it. This is beautiful. So I would encourage you to go and listen to it. It's a very catchy song. I've been obsessed with it and I just love it. So yeah, this is pretty much it for the songs of the week. I'm gonna try to stop myself from talking even more. But before I head over to the next section, which is the main story, I guess, I want to say that, well, I put all these songs in a playlist, of course, and then I decided to do a TikTok on one of my other playlists called Best Bridges, where I just basically put all my favorite bridges, songs with my favorite bridges in. I did this TikTok where I was like going through the playlist, and TikTok took it down, took the video down. I was like, what? I didn't do anything. And I was like, it was not playing any of the songs that were in the actual playlist. It said like they violated community guidelines, but to be fair, I cursed every now and then in the video, but like I've seen way worse on TikTok, like in terms of explicit content. So I don't know what's up with that, but TikTok's up my ass. Like they want to kill me. They want to see a bad bitch fail. But I appealed the like the decision, I guess they made, but and the video got restored, but it's sort of shadow banned at the end of the day now, because and the weird thing is that it's saying that I have 200 views or something on the video, but when I go and look at the viewers, it just shows me 5 people. So I don't know where they took those numbers. Maybe they were the original people that were about to be reached by I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird situation, but yeah, I got it restored, but now it's like sort of shadow banned. So I think only my friends can see it. I don't know what happened there, but there's no reach in terms of that video. But fuck TikTok, But also I love it. But also fuck you. Anyways, this is my rant, and maybe I will get the platform forever, but for doing nothing, for just being me. Anyways, I'll catch you in a few seconds. I'll quickly go for a break and we'll get into the actual story. We're gonna get into what the fuck is the English language. That's the main topic. Like, we're gonna get into inconsistencies of the British phonetics and the just the English language in general. Like, girl, stay tuned. We're gonna get intellectual here. And we're back. Back for the real bit. The real part of the episode, which was supposed to be the main part, but I think everything else is going to be the main part this time around. But anyways, yes, so the topic at hand right now is going to be a pretty interesting one. The topic itself is something that I always discuss in general. I don't know why it always comes up in my brain. Maybe I found out why, because I'm a foreigner, and I always like it's normal for a foreigner to think about all the oddities in the English language when you like learn it. And when it's on your native language, you clearly just always be like you become like very critical, I guess, of a language, of like how it works and all that stuff. Like if you like, for example, I would never investigate the Italian oddities as much as I do with like new languages that I learn, in that sense, because it's just like a given, I guess. It's something that it's natural to me to speak Italian, you know what I mean? But English was not my first language, so when I started learning it, I started paying attention to like so many different oddities in the language and the just in general, like the phonetics, the spellings, the writing, and all that stuff. And the other day that was like a couple of weeks ago now, but it was an idea that was planted in my brain by one of my friends, Erica. She said, why don't you just do like an episode about it? Because we were discussing about like this topic specifically, and she was like, why don't you just talk about it on your podcast? Like, it's very interesting, and it's very like, I think it's interesting both for like foreigners like learning English, because they would like resonate maybe with these they would agree with me about these like weird things, but also it would be interesting for British and like English native speakers, Americans and all that, to like listen to the oddities maybe that they have never picked up on about the English language, you know? So yeah, my portion of this like episode, like this bit is gonna be a lot about that, a lot about discussing. I did some research. I read some papers. I read some like academic papers as well about both like the type of oddities that you can find in English language, and also the history, like the possible explanations as to why we have such a complicated, you know, spelling system in English that doesn't reflect the actual phonetics. Like you have so many different sounds in English language that can be like it can be produced by the same by different type of letters and consonants and vowels, or like syllables, but they can produce the same sound, or like the same syllable or the same letter can produce different sounds. So yeah, it's a very interesting, you know, topic in general. I always find it very interesting, and whenever I'm, for example, at work, I also, because I'm surrounded by a lot of British people, I always talk to them about this as well, and I put them in a frenzy because they never thought of like any of these weird oddities, and it's just funny to see because like if you think about it, there's a lot of like inconsistencies in the language, and it's just crazy, you know. Um, so here's my opinion actually before I get into anything about learning English, my personal journey. I started learning English like very early on, like when I was in kindergarten with a native speaker as my teacher. And fun fact, she was from Ireland. She was from Cork. So I don't know, like my accent is not really British. It's not really like Irish either, but it's just like a mixture of like, I don't know, what I picked up on YouTube and the US, and just in general like a mishmash of everything. And it's just me being chronically online, I guess, that helped me to get like the fluency that I have now, as well, of course, as studying and living in the UK for like more than 5 years, I guess. So that also has to go to, you know, that has to count, you know. But yeah, so I started learning it when I was very young, and I, you know, went to also private classes, and it's just something that I've always, you know, studied in that sense. So I'm versed. I'm versed. I have 2 degrees in English, so that's the main point, you know. But I think when learning, I also, of course, learned other languages in my, you know, studies and everything else, and I can safely compare them, I guess, in that sense. Like my experiences, of course, they're gonna be universal in a way, but my main opinion also as a, you know, European native, I guess I would say, like Italian is my native language. I think English is actually the easiest language between the European ones to learn in a way. Like in terms of grammar, pretty straightforward. I don't think it's anything super difficult, especially compared to Italian. Like English is just a joke in that sense. Like it's very easy to like, you know, learn the grammar, learn, I would say, also how to like construct like sentences, and like, you know, that that's, yeah, I think that's very easy as well. I think the great hurdle in that sense is actually the phonetics of it all. Like I think the actual difficult part of the English language is like reading words, or like learning the pronunciation of certain words, and not necessarily speaking it, because you can speak it, but I think what's very inconsistent in the English language is like the way you pronounce words. That's the main bit that I think you need to like. There's no pattern there. You need to like just immerse yourself in the culture and in the language until you like become fluent by just a mere fact of you know, using certain words so often that they become natural to you. I guess that's the only way, because there's no pattern, there's no rule sometimes in the way British, like the British, like, the Brits put words, in their vocabularies, like the way they pronounce them and all that stuff. Even the phonetics of them all, like, is just weird. It's just different. And of course, well, English is one of the most talked languages, like the most, like, talked languages in the world. So, um, there's of course a lot of variations, and like even between the American English and the British English, there's a lot of differences there and then in terms of pronunciation specifically. But I think overall you could see that there is a lot of, you know, there are many inconsistencies, I would say, yeah. So yes, that's my thought. Like those are my thoughts on the English language in general. I think it's just a very easy language to learn in terms of grammar and everything else, but and writing and all of that. But the very difficult part, which like even goes beyond other languages, like for example Italian, Spanish, even German, for example. French is a bit more close to the English language in a way, in terms of how difficult sometimes it is, like in terms of inconsistencies of pronouncing words and all that stuff. But nothing, I think, it's quite like English, because English has a lot of like influences from so many different like other languages, like Nordic languages and French, of course, and like Latin, and it's just, you know very interesting to see. Um, and I think, of course, also colonialism played a part in it, in the sense that English became like a very international language because of, specifically because of colonialism as well. But also, you know, it picked up pieces and like tools from different languages, as well as you know specifically in a time when like it got so diffused as well. So, um, anyways, um, so yeah, I was talking to my friend at a pub, and she was like, "You need to talk about this. Like, it's very interesting to see how it came all to be, and why is it specifically like that for the English language and all that." So, um, yeah. But as I said, like, I'm an Italian native speaker, so I never give a thought about the Italian. So maybe Italian is also, like, there are some oddities in Italian, but I cannot think of many, to be quite frank, compared to English. So here I am, ready to shred English to pieces. Um, yeah. So the first bit that I discovered that I wanted to research on was actually like the specific, um, I guess, like inconsistencies and oddities, I guess. So I read this article, this academic article by K&E Social Sciences, and it's a phonology based study published not too long ago. I think it was a couple of years ago, and it maps the inconsistencies, I guess, specifically between the many pronunciation of a single letter or the same syllable that you can encounter in the English language. So ideally, they start off with like the general spelling system of any language should closely reflect pronunciation, and in many languages that indeed is the case. Like it is like that. Like Spanish, as I said, like Italian, even Japanese, for example. To be fair, there's a lot of like consistency in that. Each sound reflects a specific, spelling in that sense. So, but in English, it's not like that at all, actually. So each sound in the English language is represented by more than one written letter or by sequences of letters, and any letter of the English represents more than one sound, or sometimes may not even represent any sound at all. So through this study, they went through every single letter and every single combination of consonants and vowels and syllables and words and spellings, and they found out that English is probably one. Like they said, like it's one of the most inconsistent languages in the world in terms of spelling. So yeah, that's. I mean, I just need a confirmation. Basically, I didn't need to, like, of course, look into evidence, but here's the evidence. This study does say that there is like a very severe lack of consistencies. Um, so yeah, the part of the reason like why we start off with this is just because there are, throughout the entire, like, I guess, history of modern English, there have been so many changes and adjustments in terms of pronunciation and spelling of words that is just like became very chaotic. But yeah, for example, the one of the interesting facts that they brought up was the experience of English foreigners, I guess, in that sense. Like, so if you're a foreigner language learner in that sense, English language. Oh, how do you say that? Is that foreigner English learner? Yes, they use FEL, I guess, FEL, yeah, as an acronym. But yes, they found most of these people, most of these learners are like found English as being a very defective language. So as I said, like one single letter of an alphabet cannot stand with one single phonetic symbol, and that is usually the case in many languages. But in English, I think it's almost every single word they found out. Almost every single letter, actually, sorry, in the English language has myriad in that sense of pronunciations. So yeah, that was very, very, very funny to see. To comment on these inconsistencies in a way, it's just a way to point out the obvious in a way, but I just want to preface this by saying like there's no way you can change it. You know what I mean? Like it's too the process of like getting to this type of like built up language is just too difficult to like de-organize and descale in that sense. Like you just have to roll with it. But it's just fun to like point out the many inconsistencies in my opinion. But yeah. So yeah, the study found out about these, as I said, these 4 main points. The first one is the same letter of the English alphabet does not always produce the same sound. 2, the same sound is not always produced by the same letter of the English alphabet. 3, some letters of the English alphabet indicated in words are not produced as sounds at all. And 4, the sound, there are some sounds produced in words that are not given by any letter. So when you spell a word, there may be some sounds that are not produced by any letter in the word, but they do sound like other letters in that sense. It's quite weird. But here are some examples. For the first point, there are some letters, as I said, like that. For example, let's go with with the experience of pronouncing words with silent letters. So, for example, if you say cupboard, the P in cupboard is silent. So you spell it as cupboard, but you don't pronounce the P at all when you pronounce cupboard, right? So it's just cupboard. So it's funny. Then fighting is FIGHTING. You don't pronounce the GHT at all. So it's fighting. It's just fighting, mate. I guess some people may say fighting, but you don't really pronounce the GH at all. I think the T is up in the air. It depends on like how you pronounce it, but the GH is usually not pronounced at all. So it's fighting or fighting. And then it's plow, for example. Plow is PLOUGH. GH, again, you don't pronounce the GH. Or listen, you don't say listen. Like you don't pronounce the T at all, but you write it like that. You know what I mean? Or write, for example, write to write something. The W is not really pronounced. It's there to like give the R a bit of. It's not right, but it's right? But it's just not really pronounced in a way. You know what I mean? But yeah, the letters, for example, in these examples, the letters in these words do not give any contribution to the sound specifically, but they're still written there, and that's one of the interesting inconsistencies, I guess, of the language. It's just weird. Like sometimes these letters do have a sound in other words, but in other words they don't. So, and there is no pattern, there's no formula, there's no rule that tells you when to omit the sounds from the letters written in English words. So you just have to roll with it. You just have to learn by speaking, I guess. Then a letter can support, as I said, many as 2 or more different sounds in a word, or different words. For example, the k sound, for example, the letter C can have many different sounds, like can have a k sound, like for example, cup, as I said, cup, so has the k sound, and then for example, church, even though it's like CH, but the C here has a ch sort of pronunciation, or the C can also be pronounced as an S, sort of like center, S, like sort of similar to the S sound is center, right? But it's CENTER. So is also very like, yeah, this is another like inconsistent phenomena in the spelling of the words and like pronunciation of phonetics. Yeah. On the other hand, there's also there are sounds represented by different letters, such as, for example, D, G, and J sometimes have very similar phonetics. So, for example, education or gigolo or judge are all using the same J sort of sound, but they are like spelled with different letters. So education is ED, of course, and then gigolo is GIG, and then is judge with the J. So that's an interesting fact, I guess, there. And there's plenty of other examples like these. In other examples, there are intrusions of sounds where there are no letters indicating the word. So sometimes, for example, you have, what was it? Oh yeah, inquire, for example, choir, like CHOIR. You have a sort of like W sound in it, even though there's no W. It feels like there is like it feels like it should be spelled like, well, it doesn't make sense if I say it, but it sounds like it should be spelled like this, like CHWOIR, choir, right? Because it's not choir, it's not like that, or it's not choir, it's choir for whatever reason. And see, the CH here is not pronounced as ch, like as I was saying before in church, but it's CH is like k. So make it make sense, bitch. Make it make sense. But yeah, so sometimes there are sounds where there are no letters producing that sound, but you just put that sound in it. It's just very funny to me. But yeah. Or sometimes, for example, one example that came up at work was, we do say, like, for example, in between, for example, the American and the British English, you do have two different sounds. For example, you say tomato, it's a tomato in American English, yes, and then it's tomato, right, in British English. But you don't say potato or potato. No one says potato in British English. So what the fuck? You know what I mean? But yeah, so if you think about also like how it might, like the language migrated and changed, even then and there, because of the inconsistencies in the language, sometimes there's no even like proper change all throughout the language. So like you would have these oddities where, for example, you have tomato tomato, but you wouldn't have potato or potato. You know what I mean? It's just weird. I don't know. It's just very much linked to how, you know, not because like specifically because like English is not so anchored to the spelling of the words. There are so many variations of how you can pronounce a single word in different parts of the world. It's just very interesting to see, honestly. But yeah, so yeah, Kelly was like a renowned language expert, wrote an article in 2004 and said that English compared to, like, for example, Italian, Spanish, Indonesian, and Japanese is very like defective, because these other languages are examples of proper phonetic languages where there is an essential one-to-one relationship between spelling and pronunciation, while English has no one-to-one relationship, but it's more most times it's 1 to 2, but there are plenty of cases where it's like 1 to 3 or to 4 relationship in that sense. So it's quite odd and very interesting. I just love it. It's just so funny. Like, it's just a mishmash of, no rules. Basically, there are no rules in when it comes to pronunciation. It's just very funny. But yeah, I can see why, for example, these complicated relationships between like pronunciation and spelling do make it difficult for some people to learn it. I think specifically because there are no rules, you just have to go for it. You know what I mean? You just have to immerse yourself and get used to it. That's unfortunately the only way to go about it. But yeah, this study specifically, as I said, like pointed out that there are very like evident, I guess, inconsistencies. And so the more I was reading it, the more I was like, you know what? But like, okay, cool. Like, this is a matter of fact. Like, I knew about this anyways. But my main question was, how did we get here, and how like compare, for example, as I was saying, like to Italian or Japanese or Spanish, how are they this like different in terms of phonetics and spelling relationship. So I went on the web as well and found another article by a PhD linguistic student called Arika Okrent, and she's currently an author at Eon. It's a paper about specifically English languages and all that stuff. But yeah, she wrote this article called "Typos, Tricks, and Misprints: Why is English spelling so weird and unpredictable?" So yeah, she went in. About the history of these inconsistencies. So starting off the bat with this article, she did say that like she did point out, as well as the other article that I was referring to, that there are plenty of interesting inconsistencies, and one of the more recurring ones are the ones related, the pronunciations of O, U, G, H syllables in words. So sometimes O, U, H can be pronounced as aw, like thought, or drought, so ow, or uff, like tough, or like off, like cough, or like ooh, like through, or oh, like though. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you always spell it the same way. It's always OUGH, but you can pronounce it in so many different ways. It's just crazy. But or even like she went in with the EA vowel is usually pronounced like E, like weak, please, seal, beam, and all that stuff. But it can also be pronounced as like Brad, had, wealth, feather, all that stuff, you know? So even combinations of vowels, or like just a simple vowel combination, can be pronounced in many different ways. And there's plenty of more examples, of course, like even where EA can be pronounced as A, like break or steak or great or whatever, but it's always EA vowel combination. And they just have so many inconsistent ways of pronouncing them. But anyways, so yeah, the spelling system, as you can tell, is a mess. If you don't even call it a system, as Arika Okren says, it's sort of like its own living thing that just doesn't have specific like set of rules. It's not a system. Like, it's not a system. It's just a set of customs, I would say, more than anything else. And so that is a starting point from when like she decided to like research on it, saying like how did we get from like far away from a system? How did we end up with a customary sort of use of the language instead of like a systematic one? And admittedly, for a non-native speaker, the mastery of this, customs is never truly achieved, I would say. Like, you can get very close to it, but it's just like whenever you're encountered with a new word, you're always going to be scratching your head. You know what I mean? Because it's just not straightforward at all. But anyways, she does as well also here get like a bit of a comparative study on like Italian, German, Swedish, Hungarian, Lithuanian, and Polish languages, and she does say that you could easily, as a new learner, you can easily like in a matter of, well, she said in a matter of like a day, you can literally learn how to read. Maybe you're gonna be completely off in terms of like fluency, of course, and rhythm and stress and pace and all that stuff, but you could actually read the like a sentence, for example, in any of these languages, but you cannot easily do it with English or French. To be fair, French is also notorious for spelling changes. To be fair, but I think the amount of inconsistencies in English is just outstanding. So yeah, the league that English is at, to let you know, is this like crazy, like it's so difficult that they had to like write a dictionary of the British English spelling system that runs to more than 450 pages. Like, usually for any other language, for like Italian or something, it would be like, I don't know what, like 10 pages of how the spelling system works. Maybe not 10 pages, but it's definitely not 450 pages. Like the dictionary that was published in 2015 has 450 pages on how to spell different words in English. It's just that big. Like it's crazy. But okay, so this then prompted her to like go into like, of course, the history of the English language, and she started off with the Middle Ages, where various European languages adopted Latin alphabet, right? So English started getting the same influx of other Romance languages, like like Italian, Spanish, and all of that. But the difficult path that English had to endure was because of the many changes in colonization of England, in that sense. So we went from the Anglo-Saxon tribes bringing Old English in the 5th century, and then we went to the Viking invasions at the beginning of the 8th century, adding the Old Norse to the mix of, influences. And then we had the Norman conquest, of course, in the 11th century, where the French influence started taking over. And then we had, like, of course, the mixing of population and growth of London in between, like, 13th and 14th centuries. So that's, like, like, between the 5th and the 14th century, we have a good 10 centuries of just constant change and influxes of different influences, So, yeah. It's just like a matter of changes and all that stuff. But that's not to say like any other language do not have the same changes and all that stuff. I think what she actually brings in is very interesting to me. Is like it's unfortunately the timing of when printing became a thing. So there was a specific phase where English was at its most fluid state in that sense, and it was in between the Latin standardization, which was with the Roman conquest. That was when English was getting its own like standardized Latin form, and the end point was when instead we settled in the modern days, basically like after, I would say like after, yeah, maybe after the 14th century, to be fair, like that's when it properly started to settle down. But the printing moment, like printing, I think printing was like, wait, oh no, sorry, yeah. So printing was the moment where like it started standardizing basically the spelling. So up until, of course, the 15th century, we still had, as I said, the growth of London, but it was exactly when, well, people started like, I would say companies started, not companies, but you know what I mean, like printing, how do you call them? Printing companies, I would say, like started, let me see if I can find the actual name of it, but so basically when printing was invented, of course, it was still used by aristocracies and like the church as well, predominantly to just start copying holy Bibles and all that stuff. But yeah, that when he started like becoming a thing of just, standardizing for every single type of book, that's when of course like sending the books to the different population, like different strata of the population, that's when we started having like a full standardization of how to spell words in that sense, right? But yeah, the timing when this came on, it was just a very inconvenient time because, as I said, English was very much in a fluid state and there was no so the way you spell things was just up for grabs, basically. So, however the population came to like, get used to it, that's how it was gonna get spelled, basically. And there's a lot of like a power imbalance in that sense because when you produced a written piece of work, then you were dictating how to spell a word, and that's how it was gonna be. Well, I don't want to say forever, but most of the cases for a long period of time, people were going to be set on the fact that it's how you spell the word, So it's just like a matter of, as I said, customs more than systems. So the popular version of how to like spell a word was if it was gonna be printed, then it was gonna be cemented as the way you spell the word. Pronunciation was one thing, but the way you wrote it was another. So it's just crazy. Like the power of printing was just actually unparalleled in that sense. But yeah, so there's a very interesting quote in this article that says like English was a home in a kitchen, in the workshop, and a marketplace, but was less sure of itself in other registers. So the the writing was the writing of English words was not ever standardized until, but it was the common English, like the common English language that was spoken was like, you know, very vibrant in all these places, but it was not ever like standardized until, you know, the advent of printing. So the Norman invasion was the main, like I would say the biggest disruptor, because of course the French influence was the one that started giving, like, you know, new I would say like new like syllables in a way, like new pronunciations and new like ways of writing as well, and it took English far away from Latin standard way of you know, spelling in that sense. So it was very interesting to see how like it disrupted the linear path. Maybe if printing came at a time before the Norman invasion, the article also says that maybe if it did, printing became a thing before that, maybe would have had a more standardized English, more similar to like Italian and Spanish and all that stuff. Or if it came well after the, you know, the French influence was settled, like, you know, we're talking about like 18th century or something, then we would have had a very more like British lenient, French lenient sort of English in that sense. So it's so funny. It's very interesting to see. Yeah. So French, for example, brought like filled in the gaps where English was out of practice. For example, like govern, judge, office, punish, money, contract, number, action, student, all this stuff. All these words were brought from the French vocabulary in that sense. So yeah, that was when it started becoming like, you know, influence a lot. So movable type was, as I said, like was invented in Europe in by Gutenberg in 1450, and yeah, so you would move characters around and on metal alloys, and, you know, like you would print on tray pads and all that stuff, and it was just like, you know, very, you know, a very fast-paced production of written works in that sense. So yeah, Caxton was William Caxton, who was a merchant in the 1476. He set up in England the first English press, and yeah, he was one of the main like people who like had an enormous power on how to, like, you know, spell words in that sense. Think about that, like you dictate how a word is gonna get, you know, in that time where no one, everything was up for grabs in that sense. Like you were the one dictating for the future how you're gonna spell a word. Of course there were, like, you know, changes throughout history, but that was a starting point basically. But yeah, once the type had been set, you could print off as many copies as you wanted, but that the typing set had to stay the same. You couldn't change it as easily, you know what I mean? So it was just, you know, an easy and quick way of just standardizing everything. So yeah, very interesting. So the way it worked is that the spellings of certain words got entrenched by being printed over and over and over again in widely distributed texts very early on. So people started reading books and started like, you know, associating their pronunciations to the way they were written, and that's how it went basically. Yeah, some spellings as I said, got entrenched this way, but also you can see, for example, in they bring an example of the word ghost, Ghost, which had been spelled and pronounced as Gast in Old English, but took the GH spelling under the influence of the Flemish trained compositors, for example. So when we started printing the word ghost, the compositors who were Flemish trained started spelling it as Ghost, and so ever since then, ghost is spelled as that, and it became one of the most popular words also in that time, because it was used a lot in like religious texts like Holy Ghost and all that stuff. And so yeah, the way you spelled it became quickly very popular in the popular usage in that sense. So it just became to look right at a certain point. You know what I mean? Other spellings also arose in this time. For example, I find it very interesting that when they go into like the would, should, and could of it all. So would and should have always been pronounced with that like L sound. Like the L in would, you would pronounce would, and should. It used to be like this, and because it was the past forms of will and shall, but could was never pronounced with an L. It never was. It was the past tense of can, could, you know? So the way it was first spelled was COUDE, could, or CUTHE, but since it was so similar to like would and should, like as in past forms of will and shall, it just became to look right to like just spell it as COULD. You know what I mean? It's just, and with the printing's rise, yeah, the L sound was also already often absent from the pronunciation of would and should. So by the time they printed off should, would, and could, they all were, printed off in the same spelling, but they all also merged the pronunciation. So they all started taking from could, the absence of the L, but could started being spelled as would and should. It's just insane. But yeah, crazy shit. And yeah, I think another important thing to talk about is visual patterns of how you see words and all that stuff. Like if you see a certain pattern in visual spelling, then you're gonna start like cementing it as the way you spell things. Not necessarily the way you pronounce them, but the way you spell them. Like if you see a certain type of words spelled in a certain way, like if you see a pattern of spelling visually, then you're gonna start visually reproduce, writing, like when you write it, you're gonna reproduce the same way. You know what I mean? So you're gonna standardize it in that way. So yeah. Latin spellings, of course, can also reinforce French spellings, of course, because French is, at the end of the day, a Roman spelling, a Roman language. But sometimes French filled in the gaps in the English language that were not provided by Latin. And you can find in French a lot of like, inconsistencies as well. Like, for example, oh my god, I don't know how to say it, but sang, like SANG and CENT, sometimes like they are pronounced the same, but they're spelled differently. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of that, but they're reinforced by the Latin language because CENT came from centum in Latin, and sang came from like sanguinum, which is like blood, right? So the Latin connection sometimes serves as a reference to stabilize spelling in that sense. But yeah, the main point in this article is that had the normal invasion not interrupted the literary tradition of the Old English, so the Latin-based English, we might have ended up with a similar situation as a spelling system with silent letters and shifted sound values, but grounded in the spelling of their earlier forms. So Old English would have continued to be the basis of the writing tradition that would have later been set into type, basically. Instead, we had numbers of parts moving and changing and all that stuff, and so there was no anchor at all. Also, another interesting thing that was pointed out is that when the printing became an established force, in that sense, in English scene, English itself was also undergoing another change, which was called the Great Vowel Shift. In broad terms, it was basically, over the course of some centuries, sounds changed and vowels moved around. So words such as name and make, for example, once had an AH vowel, so it would be nam, I guess, and mag in that sense. Like it used to be like name. The A wasn't supposed to be the A, but like in German, for example, Name and Machen, basically, right? Or English father, like father, the A sound there is right? But during the Great Vowel Shift, it moved from more of an vowel, as in bad, and then eventually got to A, as today, for example, yeah? Yeah, so the pronunciation kept on changing during the Great Vowel Shift, but the spelling stayed the same because of the printing, you know what I mean? So you printed words in a way, like, they all stayed the same, but the pronunciation became different, you know? So, same thing with, like, words that ended up with a double O spelling generally used to be pronounced with a long O sound. For example, moon, book, both used to sound something like moan and boke, like moan and boke, right? The two O's quite logically represented basically a long O, but before moving to a U sound, like that was during the great vowel shift. So you started printing it off as double O, but eventually the sound became U by popular usage. So it became moon and it became book. However, sometimes the long vowels can also become short vowels, like the more lax U vowel, like push, poo. And, moon ended up with the June vowel, but sometimes book became push vowel. You know what I mean? Like you say book, but not book. Like not book. You know what I mean? Not moon, not book, but book, So it's just, they changed out no rules, as I said, but it's just the way that it was already printed off, and then the pronunciation started changing after that, but you still remained with that standardized printing. So yeah, the important bit to take out of this is that when technology spreads, so does a habit of using it. You know what I mean? So before we had printing, we had writing, but we cannot go specifically too much back further in that sense, because human language isn't necessarily a technology. It's more of, in my opinion, like as also she says, it's a more of like a nature-based sort of like endeavor. You know what I mean? Like it's just something that it's not something that you discover or is a tool that you pass on, but it's just something that has always been with us in terms of communication. But the way technology spreads and the habit of using it, they have to go hand in hand. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's pretty much it on what I wanted to say. How much? Oh my god, it's 1 minute 21. Oh, sorry, 1 hour and 21 minutes. But anyways, this was my excursus on like English language. It's just so funny. I just have, by reading these, I found so many interesting oddities and all that stuff. It's just so interesting, to me. So, yeah, I hope this interests you. I know it's a bit of a different way of I usually don't talk about these things, but it's just like I said, this podcast is about anything that catches my eye, anything that I love to talk about, and yeah, so I hope it was not boring. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next episode. Stay warm, stay inside. We're almost, we're almost approaching spring, so stay strong. You better bloom like a flower soon. See you next week. Have a good week. Bye.